say, on this journey, I saw you. At least I read your message on LinkedIn, and the reason why I got, because by then we're not connected. So the reason why I got to read your message is because one of my connectors made a comment on your page. Okay, so I saw that, and I saw his comments, and I laughed, because he was talking about something me and him have debated several times. All right. So this is the message you sent. I'll just read a little bit of the first paragraph. You said, no, I think it's the second paragraph somewhere, but this what I decided to pick out. This failure dealt a massive blow to my life, as everything was on the line. But if a new beginning to a new journey of self-discovery about my place in the world and the legacy I want to leave behind when I'm gone was born. Okay, so you think that failure, whatever happened that made you guys shut down, send it money, okay? It said it's a failure, okay? But then you learned from it, and it has propelled you on the next round of your journey. Now, unfortunately, my friend, the other part of the message, you actually held yourself accountable, okay, for whatever happened, and the lesson you have gained. Absolutely. But my friend had a different view, that in essence, he absorbed you of the failure and pinned it to the system. Okay. Now, yes, for me, sometimes the system is majorly at fault for certain failures, but as an entrepreneur, you need to pick the lessons, and the only thing you have control of is your actions, not the action of the system.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if you indict the system and you blame the system for the next century, the system is not going to magically change. Absolutely. You need to adapt to fit the environment.
I think to me the fundamental things, and what I consider to be hard conversations that we as Black people need to start to have within ourselves, within our families, within our communities, within our continent. And those conversations, it starts from actually healing ourselves. Those conversations starts from accepting what we can't control.
Okay.
And making peace with what has controlled us.
Okay.
And is understanding that life is a game. And the powers of control, humans, and wealth, influences, till this very moment you're now having this conversation, they will not stop at that game. Life itself is a game, right?
Yeah.
And the power that you and I have as an individual is how we respond, or our role in that game, right? And if your role you're playing as an individual, it's not something that you like, then you have to either change your role, that'll be an option. If you feel powerless enough to change your role, then maybe you need to change your environment. And if you feel powerless in changing your environment, maybe you need to create your own game.
Okay.
And so to me, what I'm trying to say, we're using that analogy, is understanding that the world responds to power, the world responds to optimism, the world responds to what you put out there in the world. And I'm saying this because I know that a lot of people will probably consume this content are people who looks like myself and yourself.
Yeah.
And so coming to that message when you said, I then realized what my legacy is. And that legacy is I want to be remembered as that individual that started a new conversation for Black people across the whole world.
Mm.
And people will probably, and with due respect and with all humility of heart, people who are between age 45 and above, I don't think they're within that message. And the reason I've deliberately used that number is because these are children that were born by parents who have been through a lot of traumas.
Yeah.
And so in our community, we don't talk about traumas. And so these traumas have been passed down from generation to generation. And so my message is mainly for people, younger people between age 5, which it will be them beginning to know what is right or wrong at the early stage, but still need supervision, till age 43. And these people, they still have the capacity to alter the existing program. They still have the capacity to reprogram the existing program. And the reason I call it program is because human mind, whether we're consciously aware or unconsciously aware, we've been programmed.
Yeah.
And whether you go to the church, or whether you listen to your imam, whether you listen to the news on TV, whether you watch Netflix, every single information out there is trying to get your attention. It's trying to give you a new perspective. It's trying to coerce you into a new paradigm of thinking. And so to me, the moment we begin to create independent thinkers within our community, those are the moments that we begin to create a new identity for ourselves.
Okay.
And we've seen this from history.
Yeah.
When you see the so-called Pan-Africanists, the first leaders, and I step on their shoulders. My ancestors that were taken across Africa during the Atlantic slave trade, I asked myself a question one day. If my ancestors, if all these people today will wake up one day and look at me, what would be their response to me? And this is a question I want to leave with a lot of Black individuals who will probably privileged to listen to this content or watch this podcast.
Mm.
Like, sit down in a very quiet space in your room and ask yourself, there's millions of lives that were killed during the European invasion in Africa in times of slave trade. These are my ancestors. These are your ancestors. If they're looking down on you and I in the spirit world, do you think they will be happy that their life, their soul, their blood is going to waste because you and I were busy lamenting and playing the victim? No, they died for me so that I can have the freedom and a new identity and a new place in the world. And that to me is a fundamental power that came to that realization in my moment of just being human. And there's a lot of things that I won't share on this podcast that happen in terms of being privileged to be in an altered state of mind during a very deep meditation. And I have a first-hand experience for those who believe in the paranormal world of literally seeing my ancestors singing the most beautiful melody I've ever seen. And that to me is where I set my new place in the world. And that to me, I believe is a reminder there is a message that needs to get out there to every Black soul on this planet. We need to stop blaming other people. We need to stop pointing fingers of my failure is because of this. The reason I can't get a corporate job is because I'm Black. Those things exist in the world. Those things are real. The system is rigged against us. Let's accept that. What if we then start creating our own systems? But that can only happen when we get to a place of identity, of understanding our place in the world, of understanding that we are not minority, we are the global majority. When it comes to economic power, we are the global minority. But when it comes to human population, we have the global majority. And the data is out there. By 2050, 1 in 5 people you see in the world will look like myself,
me,
and you.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about that? When China has this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, they use that to turn their story around. By 2050, the Black continent, the African continent, will have this golden opportunity. But let's ask ourselves, on a very human, psychologically, emotional level, are we ready?
I would say no.
I would say no. Thank you. And so that's the message I represent now, because there's a urgency in that message. Because the urgency in that message is when you go home today as a father to either mixed race children or a Black kid, how often do you tell them you love them? How often do you show emotions to them? The world, they're fighting the world already. Do you create a safe space for them to show that they matter? When you go to their school and their teacher tells them they're being naughty, do you come home and scream at them, or you try to listen to them? These are fundamental things that we need to begin to address. These are fundamental messages that I represent in the world for people who looks like me, and for younger people who have had enough